Good afternoon, good evening, good morning. Welcome to this new facility. Tonight we are streaming live on Facebook, YouTube, and X, former Twitter. So I hope this will work out very well and we will be able to get a few more people to participate. Tonight we'd like to start with a good story of somebody who started their own business in Zimbabwe, and she seems to be doing very well. I think we'll quickly listen to this one.
As you know, I love to see our own people doing very well. It's a blessing to see our people doing so well. This is a fine young lady from Bulawayo, Ohambako, UK. Her name is Queen Sowa. Open this state of the art training unit in Tege. Ngizofika kuye ngibona kade vele kuyini okwenzakalayo lapha ke erugare ukuhlahlakani kahle medicals ngihlangabezwe i-ambulance lapha ngibona hopefully izathola lamadoda uhle awu bantu awu leyo ngabona i-ambulance le gare medical hlakani kahle aha loveliness sawona queen uthini yakshisa manje yakshisa manje ngiyabonga kakhulu njani into engizobona kungufonele ngifuna uzovakatshela lapha in-reception.
This is our reception. We are here in our unit here too.
Yeah.
And then our medical aid offices are at the back.
Okay, so lapha hey ndawo ihleli
Siyabonga.
so registered fully yonke into.
We are fully registered and we are also registered.
Well, that's the young, lovely lady, and we wish you all the best success. Welcome, Benjamin.
Good day to you. Thank you for having me on the program, and to our viewers, thank you for joining us.
My apologies. Actually, I thought we were playing the video live, but we were not. It doesn't matter. I hope that the listeners were able to hear it. What do you think, Benjamin?
When I saw it, a few hours back, I was very, very excited. I was very happy. We've been through a lot of doom and gloom for over the past few months, and I thought this is something that would surely cheer us up. To watch one of our young persons, going out there and taking the initiative to develop, herself, and not only herself, but to go out there and also help our country. We know the state of our hospitals, that they're very poor at the present moment, or they are dilapidated. So this young lady has actually, she's a prime example of what I think is, if young persons are given an opportunity in Zimbabwe, they will thrive.
Yes, I think I totally agree with you that it is a good story in the sense that here is somebody who has done something for Zimbabwe, and she seems to be doing very well. She even have an ambulance as part of the service that she's providing to the community in a country where ambulances are becoming something of a reality. So it is a good story, but I think we need also to balance it with the reality on the ground. In a country where unemployment is soared to 90%, you would think many people would want to be economically active and start businesses. It must be said that it is very, very difficult in Zimbabwe to be prosperous. And I think that is the tragedy. Many people, in fact, unemployment is 90% because many businesses have been forced to close down. Why? Because the economy is so difficult. I mean, I think you and me can honestly say most people who are doing well in Zimbabwe are the ones who have got the right political connections. The rest, you can't. It's impossible. And I think that is the tragedy that we have got to admit here.
Yes, I would agree with you. The political, the economic, and even the social environment in Zimbabwe right now is not conducive for most people to attain their aspirations or to show their full potential. There's so much that is going on, so much uncertainty from both within government, how they are doing their operations. They're taxing and stuff like that, and it's pretty much of a mess right now. So no investor would want to put money where they're not sure of what their tomorrow is, right? So it's pretty difficult. But then there are also a few, like I was saying, it's not all doom and gloom. There are some people out there that are honestly trying with the little that they have. And we would not judge to say, is it honest money or is it not, right? Because like you said, many people are doing well in Zimbabwe because of their political connections, going to go through, getting legal tenders and stuff like that. So you find out that there are also, young persons out there that I think we must take time sometimes to mention for what they are doing, not for themselves, but for the community and the country as a whole, given that, Zimbabwe right now has got no renal machines to help, dialysis for those that are in need. So that is a very, very big step. Now, at least, there is somewhere where people can go and get the service or the aid that they need.
Well, that is true, but I think what we want to balance, what I was trying to say there is we have got to balance it with the reality. If unemployment is 90%, that means the system is not working. The few who are succeeding, how long can they succeed in an environment that is so corrupt? That at the present moment, for instance, inflation, I was reading today that inflation has reached now over 1,600% per annum. And it is hard enough to do business where there is economic stability. But when there's hyperinflation like that, it is the highest still in the world, inflation rate in the world. How can you have any meaningful business? Many shops now are beginning to have shortages because of that. And that is what is the problem here. But on the screen there, I've got a picture of two people that have been in the social media quite a lot. The gentleman there, Whitney Chivayo. I don't know whether you want to have something to say about him, Ben.
Well, I think it's obvious. It needs no introduction to the social media circle, and Zimbabwe, as a country, he's the guy that has been going around, splashing a lot of money and buying, whoever is associated with the ruling party, Zanu PF. has been going about buying them cars, different cars, depending on how much you have helped the car, the part. If you have done a lot, you are getting a Mercedes Benz, one of the latest vehicles, and big cars, big machines, actually, if I may say. And if you have done so much, or sometimes it just likes you, you will buy for you, an Aqua for you to go about. But on the same token, this is the same character that was awarded I'm sure if we remember well, the ZESA tender that had been in the courts for years, and he actually won the court case again. He was supposed to deliver, solar energy to power, into the grid, and he delivered absolutely nothing. And that deal, I suppose, is still pending, or it fell through. And he was given up to a tune of 5 million to start work, and he didn't do anything. And in the court case, he won the court case, and he was given another 10 million. So I suppose this is why he can really afford to splash the money out and just give away. So far, I think he has given over $2 million in motor vehicles and cash. Yeah, so this is the character that we have.
Yeah, I think it is tragic, really, that in this particular case, here is an individual who has become so incredibly rich. He's giving away vehicles worth hundreds of thousands of dollars, US dollars. And he himself has got a fleet of really expensive Porsche cars. And yet, he has done nothing. And it's mainly because of his political connections. And that is the tragedy of Zimbabwe today. And in that kind of atmosphere, it really is difficult to see how there can be meaningful economic prosperity when there is such rampant abuse of power and corruption and mismanagement. And that is the real big story that I think we should be discussing here today. And we have got to remain with today. The odd person who goes out there and makes a success story of it. Yes, they've got to be applauded, but you've got to really fight hard. And even then, people like the young lady we saw with the medical service supply business, one wonders how long it can survive in a situation now where inflation is so high, and for most of her medicine, she has got to buy it from outside the country. Where is she going to get the foreign currency? And the ordinary person also cannot benefit from it because they have got local currency. How are they going to pay for their medication? When they have no foreign currency. If she accepts foreign currency, she has got to say to herself, okay, wherever she's getting a medication from outside the country, they're not going to accept Zimbabwe dollar. So her business is being constrained by things that should not be constraining here. And this is the tragedy. But let's go to the next story, Benjamin. This is a story of a Zimbabwe religious cult group that was raided today. I don't know whether you had the chance to look at the story and to listen to it. We'll just listen to it quickly.
250 children without birth certificates have been rescued from a life of child labour in a cult in Zimbabwe. Self-proclaimed prophet and cult leader Ishmael has been arrested for crimes including the abuse of minors. His cult has more than 1,000 members, staying in a compound which police raided earlier this week. They found 16 graves at the site, including 7 children whose deaths hadn't even even been registered. In fact, out of the 251 children in the cult, 246 had no birth certificates. Instead of being educated like other kids their age, they were being used for cheap labour, doing physical work on the compound. It's not clear where they've now been taken, but as they were loaded onto buses to leave the compound, one woman shouted, "Why are they taking our children? We are comfortable here. We don't have a problem here." Zimbabwe is a deeply religious country, with 84% of the population being Christians, split into 3 sects. Small minorities of these sects are subject to religious fanaticism or religious extremism. Believers in the cult describe the compound as their promised land, where they
We'll stop it there. What's your comment on the story, Benjamin?
Thank you. I've actually seen it and read about it for probably the whole week. It's just sad, the level of naivety that some Zimbabweans show is just sad. It's just appalling, really. I wonder what it actually takes, to get somebody to such a stage to believe such a doctrine or such a false, statement or false hope, to such an extent where you would move away from a normal life and be confined into a small little, from what I understand, they were staying on one farm, and they believed that this farm provided everything, and this was actually the heaven that they were waiting for. The level of brainwashing it would take to get somebody to that extent. But then sometimes you find out that if you explore much further, it is not only just these guys. Of course, these guys are doing it physically, but some people are trapped even mentally. How am I? Let me try and explain what I'm trying to say is, we in Zimbabwe we have people that especially with these churches, they sprung up and they're doing very well, because they have drawn so much people to their congregation now that I wonder sometimes if they're actually worshiping God or they're actually worshiping the prophets. It's, for me, I can't understand, because I don't think I could get to such an extent where somebody would brainwash my brain until I become so naive to that extent. It's unbelievable.
Well, I think the take I took from this one is this is one of the apostolic sect, and as we know that run up to the election, and I think some of us have seen pictures of both Mnangagwa, his deputy, and many politicians joining these churches because they wanted to get their votes. This has become a tragic reality in Zimbabwe, where, like you correctly said, people have been brainwashed. And the politicians and some of these pastors have really taken advantage of that. The brainwashing, yes, in this case here is the extreme case where these people were not even having their children going to school. And in fact, there's more investigation have shown that some of these kids, particularly the girls, were already married before they were even the age of 16. So there was a lot of sexual abuse there as well. But nonetheless, on the political field, many people have been brainwashed. And one of the ones that I find outrageous is how Chamisa managed to brainwash so many Zimbabweans last year, telling them that he had plugged all the vote rigging loopholes, and Triple C was going to win big. And many people believed him. And what is more, now with hindsight, now that they know the elections were rigged, Chamisa did not plug all the vote rigging loopholes after all. They still continue to believe him. Some of them are even calling him the change champion in chief. That's when you realize this is serious. We are trying to build a democratic nation. And as long as you've got an electorate that is so brainwashed that they cannot think for themselves, it is going to be impossible to have a democratic nation. And I think that is the tragedy that I'm concerned about myself. And until we change it, we are not going to go anywhere. So with that, I that's my concluding remarks. I don't know whether you want to give your concluding remarks there, Benjamin.
Oh, sure. Thank you. So, firstly, I would like to, on our first story, I would like to, applaud the young lady for what she has done, the initiative, and I really hope a business will conquer, the environment, the toxic environment that is in Zimbabwe. And then for this here story, I would say, I've always said this. The moment we are able to think for ourselves and to scrutinize and to ask questions, that is the moment where we are going to start enjoying a better life in terms of how Zimbabwe is. Right now, we are just blindly following. Chamisa says this we are doing. Zanu PF say that we are doing. But we are not asking, why are we doing this? Why are we following this? Where is this going to take us? So these are some of the fundamental questions that we need to ask before we just do. And the one thing, like I've always said, again, for democracy to exist, we need to be knowledgeable. We need to do our research. We need to find out, not to just blindly, follow. Like this is a prime example. But we cannot just mention these people, because a lot of individuals in Zimbabwe, like I said, they are blindly following, whether it might be different prophets or pastors, or it might be even political organizations. They are just blindly following. So there is no difference really, unless we start to think for ourselves. And that is what I urge every Zimbabwean to start analyzing for themselves and thinking, outside the box. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Benjamin. And to the listeners, thank you very much for joining us, those who were able to join us. Would like to announce tonight that from now on, we'd like to have two programs, one at 6 p.m. UK time and another one at 8 p.m. UK time. And that will be 8 o'clock Zimbabwe time and 10 p.m. Zimbabwe time. And I hope you'll be able to join us, and we hope that with time, as we become a regular thing, we'll be able to invite you to join us in the discussion and have a two-way conversation on the issue. Again, thanks very much, Benjamin, and to everybody, good night.
Thank you for having me, and good night to all of you.